I don't know if you guys notice when you go to a cinema, the last thing you see is windows anywhere. Have you asked yourself why?
All right, everyone, welcome back to the Absolute Sound Show. It's Marco over here for marketing, and I'm here today with Anand, our home theater specialist.
Hi, guys.
And thank you very much for coming back for episode 4. And today we're going to be introducing a new topic. This is going to be about
Screens.
screens. Yes, exactly. So we're going to be discussing screens and what type of screen you might need for your home theater if you are planning to do a home theater. And is there anything that maybe you wanted to start off with?
Yeah, so first of all, the main question which I would like to ask a person is what kind of usage are you planning to use the screen for? Is it meant to be in a living space? Or is it going to be for a dedicated space? Because based on space, then you decide whether should you go for a TV or should you go for a big screen, because ultimately when we talk about having an immersive experience, you want bigger the better for that particular space. But before we jump into all that, I guess there's something called resolution, because resolution is very important when it comes to watching a content on a big screen. So should you go for what we call a full HD? Actually, do you remember olden days? There used to be 720p, which is referred to as standard definition.
Oh, okay. Well,
Right?
that wasn't
That
too
was
long
ages
ago.
ago. Yeah. Then came HD,
Okay.
which is referred to as high definition. Nowadays, you'll come across, 2K, and then 4K, which is referred to as Ultra HD. Then there are some TVs you can even find in the market, which is 8K, which is 8 million pixels.
So 2K is what, 1440p?
Yeah, so you see, if you go into numbers, it could get extremely confusing, because then you're going 1920 by 1080, 2160 by 140. So the easiest way for end consumers and for me to make it as simple as possible, just remember the numbers: 2 million pixels, 4 million pixels, 8 million pixels. So it's easier. What you're looking at is the higher the number of pixels, the better it is. But then again, for one to really see the difference, you need to have a decent side of screen from a certain distance
Okay.
to enjoy that clarity. Because if you're telling me that you got a 4K TV and your screen is just what, merely a 40-inch, you know, you can't really see that much of details, versus imagine the same 4 million pixel screen, but you are at a distance and then you're looking at minute details, maybe a mole, for instance,
A mole. Okay.
or a lady with makeup. Can you see what kind of makeup she has on?
Or a
So
lady with a mole.
or a lady with a mole.
All right.
There you go. So resolution plays an important part. Similarly to the higher the thread count in a bed sheet, the better it is.
Okay, so maybe we could run through exactly the different types of screen, and like for example, TVs versus projector screens and projectors for home theater,
Okay.
and then maybe you could also run us through like the pros and cons of each.
Right. So, first of all, the most basic thing which one needs to understand is when we're talking about TVs versus projector screens, it's always the size. In a projector screen, you can go 100-inch, you can go 120-inch, you can go 200-inch. Now, it's entirely up to you how big and how immersive you want to make it, if you have the space to, place it. Versus a TV, for example, TVs, yes, previously the standard sizes used to be 55, 65, 72, but nowadays you can get TVs which are even 85-inch. Some TVs even go up to 92, but yes, they do cost a bum. Now, factor which you need to keep in mind is where are you placing it. So mostly TVs, most of us will normally have it in our living space
Yep.
where you have a lot of ambient light because something which you can't control. For example, you have a big window, and you wanted to watch a normal TV show.
I see. So like basically, if you have big windows, then light
Exactly.
comes through. Okay.
And you can still enjoy a decent picture quality. Now, imagine watching the same big TV. Let's give it a number. Let's say an 85-inch or a 92-inch. But this time, you wanted to make it like a more movie experience. You wanted to replicate something like that.
Okay.
And you've dimmed all the light. Like
Okay.
as
So
if
like
you're
completely
pitch dark.
dim.
Like how you go
Okay.
to a theater.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys notice when you go to a cinema, the last thing you see is windows anywhere. Have you asked yourself why?
Yeah. I mean,
Right? Because what you want is as much details. You want depth. You want black level. You want to be immersed. So if you're trying to do the same thing in the comfort of your home, total pitch dark on a big TV, and you're sitting right in front of the TV, that's going to give you fatigue. It's going to give you, teary eyes. So in this scenario, maybe a 100-inch screen would be way better because it's a bit more comfortable on the eyes.
I see. So in terms of the screen size and viewing distance, does that also?
Or they all play a part.
Okay.
Of course, screen size, viewing distance, what aspect ratio should your screen be? So these are all interrelated. The last thing which we want is we don't want a white elephant or a big screen, and you're very close to it because there's something called viewing angle.
Okay.
So based on certain standards, you know, if I don't go too much into detail, from your couch, what you want is roughly a 30 to a 35-degree viewing angle in order for you to see and be comfortable. If you're going for screens which are ultra wide, which is basically meant for movies because it's a wide screen, so your viewing angle also increases. So there we are looking at somewhere between 40 to 45-degree viewing angle from your sweet spot, from where you're sitting. And of course, if you're having rows, the viewing angle then comes more into play because if I was sitting on the extreme left and somebody was sitting in the center and another person was sitting slightly behind, he or she can still see and not be as if you're sitting in the first row of the scene.
Wow. Okay. It sounds pretty complicated. So I guess the main thing with that is, there are formulas and ways to calculate the screen distance and the viewing angle.
Excuse me. Yeah.
And
so there are.
so I suppose, people would have to, depending on their space,
Yeah.
they would have to come to you and
We'll
figure
be
out.
more than happy to
Okay.
guide you because what kind of projector? Can your projector project that kind of image?
So every variable will affect the overall.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. So I guess if ever you do need to discuss that, screen choice with Anand, he'll be able to guide you on the proper distance, the proper angle for viewing, even the type of screen that might work best in your room, based on your ambient
Expertise,
light
yeah.
and stuff like that. Yeah. So I guess that's where we come in, so that we can assist you in getting the perfect viewing environment, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. All right. So Anand, I guess the next question now is like, what are the types of projector screens that are available? I mean, I'm sure just like projectors, there are many different types. Screens as well, there are many different types. And
Okay.
I guess what's the difference between those?
So normally you'll come across commonly, which is what we call a fixed frame screen. A fixed frame screen could be something like your photo frame, where you have the screen material and you have the frame around it, and it's meant to be hung onto the wall.
I see. So is that like this one?
It's
over
something
here?
like what we're having here.
Okay.
So if you look behind us, so the brand which we're using is Stewart. It is a fixed frame screen. You'll see there's borders around it. The border is, dark black and it's using velvet. There's a reason to have a border because when you're projecting an image through a projector, the image basically somehow spills over and you want to contain the image in between the screen material And a border, personally to me, helps you to focus that you're looking into, let's say, a window,
Ah, okay.
versus having no border.
I see. So
So I personally, yeah,
it gives you a little bit more of
definition,
something to look at and
yeah.
okay, I guess that makes
Though
sense.
nowadays you can get some new screens which are in the market, have very slim bezel, a very slight border
Okay,
around
yeah.
it. So these are still referred to as fixed frame screens. Then we have screens which are, manual pull down or motorized screens.
I see. Okay, so manual or motorized.
Motorized.
Okay.
Now, when we talk about motorized screens or manual screens, again, they are divided into different variations. So there is something which you have on wall. So meaning it could be just a screen which you just hang it onto the wall. There are some screens which you can place above the false ceiling. Those look really neat and nobody can actually tell that you have a screen. All you see is just a cloth which is coming down,
Ah, okay.
right? Then there are some screens which are below ceiling. That means you mount on your false ceiling, then the wall.
I see. So directly on the ceiling, as
On the
opposed
false
to
ceiling, yeah.
okay, as
Then
opposed to
directly,
the cutout, which I guess the previous screen was like cut out
yeah,
and then
that goes
you
like, okay,
like
so
recessed.
like recessed, yes.
Okay, okay.
So, uh, an example of a recessed screen, have you, sometimes if you walk around, you'll see in a shopping mall your aircon vents, which are flushed to the false ceiling, but the air is just flowing through.
Okay, so you don't see
You don't
it
really
at
see,
all,
yeah. It
right?
means they're
Okay.
totally hidden, and they're super cool. They're super cool. But of course, bearing in mind, you need to have a certain space inside your false ceiling in order for you to have, you know, above the ceiling kind of
So
screens.
yeah, you need to have a false ceiling
You need to
first,
have a
right?
false
So
ceiling
I guess if you don't, then you would opt for the one that's
below ceiling
directly
or on
okay.
wall.
On
All
wall or
right.
below. Okay.
Then there's something known as screens where you have tap tension. So on the side of the screen, you'll see two strings which are attached to a tab. The purpose of that is it helps to pull the material so that your material doesn't wobble.
So there's no creases or
There are no
anything. Okay.
creases. So personally, a fixed frame screen versus a motorized screen with tap tension, I would prefer to go for a fixed screen because it will have lesser creases.
I see.
But then again, what application? Are you placing a fixed screen in your living space? Are you okay to live with that box versus a motorized screen, which you have the comfort of? All right,
Choosing
press the
when you
button,
want. Yeah,
just comes down. Press the button, and nobody even knows that you have a screen.
I see. So I guess it depends on the aesthetics you're
It
going
depends
for.
upon the
Like
purely
if you
aesthetics.
have a dedicated room, you might actually just be okay with having a fixed frame.
Or definitely. So
Yeah.
if it is a dedicated room, you should go for a fixed frame screen. There's no point going for a motorized screen. Well, as if it was a living space, why not have best of both worlds? You could have a TV, right, to watch your normal content. And when you want to have your movie nights, go for a motorized screen, be it a manual pull down, be it a motorized with tap tension. There are some screens which do not have the tension, so all they have is a bar at the bottom, which works as a counterweight
I
to
see.
keep the image stretched. So these are screens. Now, how about the material? Because,
Yeah. How does the material actually play a part in the overall experience?
okay, see, projector and the screen material, somehow you need to marry them together.
Okay.
All right,
So
so
it's basically, is it something that you've learned over the years which would work best for
yes, so there
okay.
are, because you need to understand the space first, how much of light, which we call ambient light, is in that room.
Okay.
Can you control the light based on the budget? I'm looking at a projector and a screen. So you need to then find out how much of light is your projector giving?
Okay.
How far is the screen? Can it fill up that space? And if the room has a lot of light, you know, should we go for screen materials which have a gain? The gain basically refers to when the light is thrown onto the screen, how much is reflected back towards the viewing person, the person who's seeing.
Okay.
and the rest of the image gets dispersed. The light.
I see.
It doesn't affect
So the gain is actually how much of that light actually goes back?
back. Yeah.
Okay.
Because maybe your projector was XYZ number of lumens, which is, the brightness.
Okay.
Now, if the brightness is less, you can basically compensate it in a bright room. You do want a screen which is with a slight gain. So you'll see numbers like 0.9, 1, 1.3, and so on.
Wow, sounds pretty
So,
technical.
so that does get a bit technical, but
Well, I guess that's what Anand is here for. He's going to be able to assist you in choosing the right screen based on your room, based on your projector, and how that's going to affect everything, because these are all variables that he'll have to play around with.
yeah.
And of course, he would be doing that from experience. He's done many installations. And yeah, I guess that's something that, maybe you'll have to discuss with him when you do look for your home theater system.
There's one more thing which I forgot to mention.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Oh, hey, what's up, guys? Marco from editing over here. So originally we didn't plan for this episode to be so long, but it ends up being super long. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna split this episode into 2 different parts. And what you've just seen was part 1, and we'll give it another 2 weeks and you can come back for part 2. All right? So hope you guys enjoyed this one, and we'll catch you at the next one.